There are four different levels to home service branding, and if you're not focusing on your brand in 2025, you're going to be really missing out on the benefits of it, and especially as it starts to compound for your business. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's video. The four different levels of branding in the home service industry, how branding compounds over time for your business, and how you can actually start building brand for yourself today. Hey everybody, my name is Jordan Danzy. I'm a marketer and home service fanatic, and in this video, we're going to be going over branding for home service businesses and why it's so crucial in today's age. Branding seriously can make or break a business, and if you nail it right the first time, it's going to compound for you over the next couple of years to make explosive growth within your business. So let's kind of jump into it. So to me, there is four levels of branding. And I've kind of got them listed here for you. So these are the different levels of branding in the home service industry. And it starts with level one, which is absolutely no branding at all. This is not where you want to be. If you are here right now, this video is going to be super beneficial for you because branding is super, super important. And if you have no brand, then at the end of the day, you really are going to be competing on price. You're going to be trying really hard to get leads coming in, and it's not going to be really what you want to be. And your business is going to struggle to grow. The second stage is basic branding, and this is branding that anybody can implement today, right now, and see some really good actionable results. If you're starting a home service business, you can start with basic branding and you will see it like compound and you'll have an easier time entering the market. And then the third level of branding is recognized/associated brand. And this is where things really start to happen. This takes time to get to, but I'm going to tell you the benefits of it right now so you can look forward to it as you're building your brand. And then after that, there's something called the market leader, where your brand is just so recognizable, you are now the solution for the problem. So when somebody says, I need window cleaning, it's not, hey, I need to look for window cleaning. It's, hey, I need to call this company. Right? You are the recognized solution for a problem, and that's when you become the market leader. So let's kind of jump into it. The four different tiers and what they actually mean in depth. So the first one is no branding. And this is typically like older businesses where maybe it's just a one-man band, somebody who is maybe a little bit, it's a little bit older of a business and they're not really adapting to technology. This is typically somebody who is just referred to as like, hey, I have a friend who does this. Like, hey, it's not a handyman type of vibe, but you kind of get where I'm saying, where it's like, oh yeah, Jim does that. He can help you out. He can come over and fix this. So it's just a guy who can come over and fix things. There's not really any established business there. There's no logo, there's no uniform, there's no identity. And that's where a lot of businesses or a lot of people might stay, whether because they're content in that. And typically here, like it's hard for people to be content because business is sporadic. You don't really have a typical good source of leads coming in, and you're just kind of known as the handyman. And the biggest problem for these types of businesses is they're only going to be competing on price, right? So this is the only thing they have for them is just price, and that's not what we want to do. And so typically, how this business works is their trust is low, right? So if we go into the trust factor, you have low trust, right? Low amount of authority because there's no brand. So there's low trust, low authority. And you guys can make fun of my handwriting all you want. And then the only factor, right, is that they can just compete on price. So they have lower prices, right? And that's it. And in my model or in my mind, this doesn't work anymore. This doesn't work for businesses that are really looking to try and like push the scale, push the let me get that out of here, and just keep on going. So no branding is an absolute no go. You need to brand something in 2025. Like you need to have some sort of identity. You can't just be known as Joe the plumber, who doesn't have a Google My Business page, doesn't have a website, and people just know Joe as the local plumber in town. And Joe is going to quickly be beat by somebody with branding. And the biggest problem is with no brand, you only compete on price, right? So the only thing you can do to win jobs is just be cheaper. And typically, too, for higher end clients, you're not going to get those. So the next form of it is basic branding. And this is where most new businesses have a really good competitive advantage when they're jumping into the market because starting off with good brand will compound over time. And that's the beauty of this. So this is where most new businesses have a really good competitive advantage right out of the gate as they brand right from the beginning. Strong forms of local presence with a good logo, basic business cards, potentially even like branded vehicles and signage. They might have like a slogan of some sorts. And then typically these businesses have a pretty good online presence from the beginning. So they're going to have a strong Instagram profile, a good Facebook profile, a pretty good Google My Business. And this is where you really, let me go ahead and kind of make this like blue. This is where you really start to see it, is when they start focusing on their social media profiles. That's where we're going to see, strong Instagram, strong Facebook, a good functional website. It doesn't need to be over the top, right? But the biggest benefit with this type of company is that trust, right? Let me actually take my bigger one out here. Is that trust is more, right? So instead of like crazy amount of trust, it's gonna kind of be like a nice trust graph, right? So trust is slowly going to kind of build for your company over time with basic branding. As more and more people get to like utilize your brand. The biggest thing here is like not a lot of people are ever going to see this brand. There's not a lot of trust. There's not a lot of anything here. They're going to be focusing on their Google My Business. They're going to have somewhat of an Instagram, so they're going to get a little bit more trust. And on top of that, they're going to have just a little bit more authority. Wow, I'm writing terrible. Right? So on top of the trust, they're going to have more authority. So at the end of the day, they're going to be able to charge just a little bit of a higher price, right? So if the typical price, let's say, is 89 for the tune-up, whatever it is, I'm just pulling numbers out of here. These guys are actually going to be able to probably come in at maybe 120, At 120, they're going to be slightly above market rate, but because they have focused on their brand from the beginning, or from they have basic brand, people can look at us and be like, okay, this is a company, right? It's not some random guy. This is a company that if they do mess up, I can go and leave a review and say I'm unsatisfied, right? That's where basic branding comes in. And here's the thing too, most businesses are just focused on basic branding, right? So this is where I would say 80 to 90% of businesses are right now, is just kind of in a basic branding phase. So they have the logo, they have the social media profiles. On top of that, they have the Google My Business, and then possibly after that as well. Let me go ahead in here. They have a semi okay website, right? And at the end of the day, they maybe have a good offer, right? And this is where 80 to 90% of businesses are, and this is okay, right? Like this right here. Oops, that was crazy. It's okay. It's not anything crazy. It's not going to be like superb branding. It's where you really get into the next one. But for most businesses, this is where they are right now. They have a website, they have a logo. It's just about how much effort that they're actually putting into it, right? So effort in the brand is where this really starts to stand out, right? So the businesses that start to put effort into their branding from this stage, like it is hard to move on to this stage without putting more effort into the brand, is what is actually going to lead them into the next one. But effort is really just like volume, messaging, like what your brand is stating, right? And then social proof. That was long. All right, so when you put more effort into these things in your brand, then you're going to be able to actually go to tier 3 of home service businesses, which is a recognized slash associated brand. This is the coolest point. This is going to take time, right? You cannot jump to this right away. I would say at a minimum, it's going to take 1 year of being in business and like actively working to become a recognized slash associated brand. But when you get here, this I would say is almost the golden stage, right? I'm gonna go ahead and write it in green. Actually, we're just gonna text it or type it. This is almost the golden stage of business, right? Because when this happens is where your brand has compounded enough to where your customer acquisition cost is actually going to start to go down because you have a good word of mouth presence. So you're going to start to get more organic. And again, 1 year is a shortcut for this. Most businesses get to this point in business by like the 3 to 4 year mark. That's when this usually happens. But if you start from the beginning and you just push it as much as you humanly can down the throats of your customers, like in a nice way, you're going to reach this stage a little bit faster. And this is really where like profit margins will go up. And your brand is associated with something, right? So your brand, let's say you have a bright blue truck. People are going to see that and say, "Hey, that's this company." That's when you now have an associated brand within your market. And that's huge because people will see you working on a house and they'll say, "Oh, there's that company." That's the golden stage of branding, and it's going to take time to get here. The beautiful part of this is organic growth has now started to compound for your business, where word of mouth, referrals, and your local presence is so strong that you actually start to obtain customers for cheaper, which is great because people are just going to find you better. They're going to see your content more. They're going to see your ads more and say, "Wow, I've seen this ad so many times. I've seen this brand so many times." You'll just start to get more local trust, more local authority, and it's going to compound, which is beautiful because you can start to market harder and acquire customers for more. So like you can spend more to acquire your customers. Not only that, you can raise your prices. So this is where I think the kind of golden part of business really comes in because your overall pricing power increases, you can charge more, your customer acquisition cost goes down, and you could possibly even increase profit margins. So this is the golden place with it because trust, oh, whoop, that was a line there. Because trust in this market or at this point tier of brand, right, has kind of gone like this. Actually, I would say more of like here, and then it's just strong incline, right? So trust is very high at this point. Here, your margins too, you can charge drastically higher, right? So your price is going to go up. And then on top of that, your customer acquisition cost, so how much it costs you to get one customer, is going to go down to, just a little bit. So let's go ahead and say like 68, right? So your customer acquisition cost is going to go down because you have a solid brand, which lets you spend more in marketing, right? And the biggest rule of thumb is if you can outmarket your competitors, if you can spend more to acquire customers, you're going to win. So at this point in business, at this point in brand, not only are you recognized because of your vehicles or your branding or whatever your message is, you are recognized from this, but you can actually start to gain a lot more trust. You can increase your prices, lower the decrease price of the customers coming in, and market harder. This is the golden time, but it's going to take time to get to this point. I have to like stress this enough. You cannot run immediately to this point. You can't start immediately at this point. Most businesses, it's going to take them a year to 3 to 4 years to get to this point where they're actually recognized and associated to something from their brand. Now, can you do it faster? Absolutely. But you need to start out of the gate with a solid brand. And a lot of companies are going to start with their brand. They're going to tweak it a little in a year and they're going to be like, "Oh man, maybe we got to tweak the brand a little bit in a year." No, that's not what happens. When you stick with a brand and you set it in stone, and then you compound that same brand message for over 3 to 4 years, that's when you start to get to this point in business. And this is where business is like really fun. And this is where a couple of our customers or community members have slowly like are at right now. And when you make a quick couple little tweaks and you get some crazy results out of it. So this is stage, or I would say tier 3 in home service businesses. And then tier 4 is when you actually become the market leader. And this is like it's going to take a lot of time to get here. This is typically like 8 to 9 years in business of just sticking with your brand and continually writing everything out. This is when people say, instead of like let's go get like look up window cleaning, they just say call this company, right? Instead of hey, we need to look for some window tinting, just call Valley Home, right? That's when your business is now associated to the problem. And here is where you have unlimited resources. Typically at this point, your brand is going to be generating word of mouth, Google, and referrals. All three of these traffic for free almost daily, right? So you're going to have free traffic coming to your business almost all the time. you're going to be able to charge the highest price just because you have so much volume coming in. You're such an established business that you will have volume coming in from all angles. So you have enough leverage to really just charge as much as you would like. You're established, you're the market leader, you're the most trusted, and you have so much volume, so you can raise those prices pretty quickly. This tier is where every company will strive to get towards. But the biggest thing is this tier is highly competitive. And it says market leader. There can only be one per market. And once you're there, everybody is gunning for you in your top spot. I have to say that. Like, you cannot be the market leader forever. Sometimes you'll get bounced back to this tier. But when you are the market leader, you have to hold it because you are now the household name. And the biggest thing for this one is you're a household, again, you're the household name, right? You have maximum amount of trust. So your trust graph literally just looks like this, right? It's a little bit of a slower, it's just like steeper. So your trust graph is absolutely huge. You are charging the highest prices, right, out of the get-go. There's no here, right? It's just straight up the highest prices. And then on top of that, you can out market everybody, right? So your whole market strategy is going to be huge. You're going to hit everyone in your presence on multiple marketing levels. So it's not just ads anymore. It's mailers, it's billboards, it's like every form of social presence. Like, you are out marketing your competitors by a long shot. And because you're doing that, you just have so much inbound that you can charge what you want to charge. And typically, this is like really hard to get to. A lot of businesses aren't going to get to this fourth tier. I would say strive for the third tier. Like, if you are just starting out, strive to become that recognized and associated brand. And then once you're there, it is a fight for the market leader. And these market leaders typically are going to be in business for a while. You'll know them because you just know the business, right? Typically at this point, you're the market leader, and these businesses are going to be in this point for a while. So this is where it's really, really huge to get to, and a lot of people are going to strive to get to this, but it's going to be a struggle. So let's kind of talk about how branding compounds over time, over and over and over again. So typically most guys are going to start here with a solid brand. And then what's going to happen is they're going to push their message out. They're going to get good word of mouth over and over. And I would say typically and we can go ahead and say, this is tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, right? Anybody can go from this tier to this tier in almost no time, right? It takes almost no time to get to this tier just because you have no brand, right? So you have no brand, and then just all of a sudden you have brand. It's like, oh, cool. You're going to be able to capitalize on that a little bit more because once you get here, you're going to make a little bit more money, and then your trust is just going to go up a little bit more. From here to this level, from this can take anywhere from 1 to 3 years, right? If done correctly. So this level is going to take time, but as this compounds, you'll start to see it because genuinely you're going to kind of be scaling up, and then you'll kind of recognize that you've hit this tier in business. And this one's going to be really, really hard for most guys because it's basically just consistency, and it's just like stick with one brand for a while, right? And it's consistency. If you keep changing up your brand, your messaging, your slogan, your colors, you are restarting the process. So stick with one brand, and just consistency. That's all it is. Just stay consistent with that one type of brand, and you'll be able to get to here. Now, from this level to from level 3 to level 4, this is going to take a long time, and the graph is going to look like this, right? This is going to take anywhere from, man, I was gonna say 3, but probably 5 to 10 years, realistically, right? So 5 to 10 years on this, and the biggest reason for this is at this point you have to have just let me get this here. You have to have overwhelming social proof, and by overwhelming, I mean like thousands, thousands and thousands of social proof. You need to have overwhelming social proof where somebody says your name and they know the business, right? That's when you get here where almost everybody in your town knows the business name. And not that, but they recognize the problem as the solution. So this is going to take a while. But the beauty of this is this to this takes no time, right? So if you are here right now, if you're at this stage and you have no brand and you're wondering why you're struggling, brand yourself. You'll start making more money. I can guarantee it. If you focus on your brand a little bit harder, you get a logo, you get a website, you get a social proof, you actually start talking on your social medias, you run ads, boom, you'll get here. This is where I was able to launch my company and get some crazy results within the first 2 months of business because we launched our brand here. That's the biggest difference. Now, to get to here is where it takes a little bit of time, but that's okay because it compounds over time, right? The biggest thing is like with this, if I was to kind of draw it, is you're going to see a little bit of growth from branding and it's going to kind of slow down. And then you're going to go ahead and kind of brand, focus on a little bit more. It's going to, focus on a little bit more. It's going to go like this, this, this. But over time, from here to here, that's a 3x difference. So this is why I mean branding compounds over time. And it's one of the most beneficial things for home service businesses. So let's talk about how you can actually do it yourself, right? The easiest thing that I've kind of done for branding is look at your business like 10 years out. Look at it 10 years out and just kind of imagine, like, if I had the top dog business in the window tinting world, what would it look like? Well, all of the techs would be in, blue trucks. All of the techs would probably be wearing blue shoes. We would have black polos. They're going to have their nice clipboards. They're going to have, everything's branded on the clipboard. They're going to have, great personalities. You start thinking about what you want to build your business to. What kind of experience do you want to build? Like, think long term out and then just start pulling what that would look like. Oh, okay, so our brand colors are blue. Okay, I eventually want to get a blue branded truck. I don't have it right now, but I'm going to strive towards it. Okay, our forms are branded. Well, I can do that now. Oh, this is what our sales process would look like. Well, can I make it look like this instead? Oh, this is like the message that we want to be doing. We only want to be working with high-end wealthy customers. Okay, cool. Well, I can start building that image now. So reverse engineer your brand, right? Look 5 to 10 years outwards into the future and just build it backwards, right? That's what I did and I think it was really, really good. As well, you need to have consistency in your brand, right? It has to be, oh, whoops, let's get that back over here. It has to be a consistent brand. So messaging in your colors, like ours is baby blue, the baby blue shoes, the blue forms, the blue website. Everything is blue, right? So it has to be consistency. We are the blue shoed crew. That's our subline. So you can see that we are very consistent in the blue theme. So just have consistency in that, Understand your logo, your messaging, and your color, and keep it consistent. Your messaging can't go from, Utah's number one heating and air company to Utah's number one heating, air, plumbing, and electrical company because it just completely changes it, right? And we can't go from the blue shoed crew to Utah's favorite tinters, right? Like whatever our tagline is, you want to keep it consistent, and that's the biggest thing with brand. Also, you need to think about like what your brand stands for, what it means, what it's going to be remembered by. And once you start thinking of that, like, oh, we want to be a brand that's remembered for amazing customer service, super serving the customer, and providing a really good solution for people's needs. When you start thinking of that, you'll start putting in those actions towards your business, right? So we want to be remembered or standing for serving higher end clients. Okay, well then you need to do the higher end client things. You need to start bringing those into your business. So that's one thing that you really need to look at is like, what do you stand for? What's your mission? And as some of that sounds cheesy, it's super, super important. And by the way, I have a branding checklist here that I've been going over. And then who are you going to serve? Look at your ICP, your ideal client profile, and build it backwards, right? This is again, going back to this one here. I can actually just gonna go ahead and whoop, build it backwards. You need to look at who you're serving and start building your business now to eventually either one, serve that type of client or try to start serving it right away. So who are you going to serve? And then what values are you going to be known for? Are you going to be known for customer service? Are you going to be known for speed? Are you going to be known for price? If that's them, I wouldn't be known for price unless that's the business you're trying to be built off of. But what do you want to be known for? And then when you know what you want to be known for, put it into your business now, make that the core concept and build from there. And that's when you're going to start to see that brand compound over time when you know what this is, right? When you know what you want to be made for. So here is some core concepts that you can kind of go over. And this is what I'm going to kind of end the video at as well. So The 5 brand core concepts is brand identity. Who or what do you stand for? Number 2 is audience. Who exactly are you going to be serving? Number 3 is visuals. How do you get recognized? What is that association piece between this thing and your company? What are you recognized for? Messaging. What will you say and how are you going to say it? The messaging really matters. If you message a poor service or you have poor messaging, you're going to get, poorer types of clients. And then at the end of the day, experience. How do customers feel when working with you or your business? Is it a luxury experience? Is it a fast experience? What type of experience do you want to deliver? And then start putting that into your brand. And that is everything I had for you guys on branding in the home service business. There's a lot going on here. But when you really do focus on your brand, I can promise you over time, it's just going to start to get more and more, and you will make more money at the end of the day. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope this one was super informational. If you want more templates, guides, and tutorials, come check out our school community, the 3-Pillar Framework. It is the #1 community for marketers and home service businesses that want to thrive. We have tons of stuff in there. You can try it today for free as well. So thank you again for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.